Hi everyone and welcome back. The time that you should be seeing this, if all goes well, it will be December 23rd, so Merry Christmas if that's what you celebrate. Otherwise, solstice, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever holiday you celebrate in the winter months, I hope that you have had a good one or are going to have a good one. Come on. Greetings also from Lexi. You can't be here for this one. This one's big. Okay. Alright, now get down. She had to get in and say her hello, right? Because, I mean, you know her by now. That's just how she is. So anyway, this week I decided to do something a little bit different. And as promised, I have a full WIP parade of everything that I have in my craft room. I think there might be a pattern or two hidden somewhere else. I apologize for any background noise. It's apparently playtime. Every time I turn the camera on, I swear. So I am going to go through every single WIP I have. A lot of these I do not have cover art for. I'm going to hopefully go back and edit it in later at the very least. For those that I have them, I will put the links in the show descriptions, because some of these are not very far along at all, so it'll kind of be hard to tell what they are necessarily from this. But for some of them I do have cover art here. Some of them I do have where I can stick it in later. And I think all but one I have at least a link for. So, we'll go ahead and jump right in. The first one. Some of these you've seen recently, some of them you haven't. They're in no particular order. In fact, the more recent ones are probably closer to the bottom because they were already out. So, the sock. It's in the same spot as it was last time. So, here you go. Still working on the gusset. I haven't actually done any work on that this week. So we've gotten the knitting out of the way. Now we'll jump into all of my WIPs. I don't have an exact count. I think it's been hovering around 30, give or take a couple. Most of these don't have very much work done on them at all. They were actually things that I started in Mania, and in Mania my goal was for the first 20 days of May I did 100 stitches on a new project every day. So some of these only have that initial 100 stitches in them, and so they're very hard to tell. Did you hear that? I feel horrible right now. She just cried like she's the most neglected thing in the world. I think you know me well enough now to know that she's not. I don't know what she's upset about, but she's been fed. She's been out recently, and I even just threw her toy for her, so I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so the first one I have is the Harry Potter book covers collage by Fox and Teacup, and hopefully I will be able to stick an image in right here. If not, this is one of those that I've gotten very little done on, but I will show you just to give you an idea of the size. So it's big. I think I got the full size, the max size one, and I have this tiny little bit in the corner of the first cover done. So, very little. It's one of my full coverage. This one I'm anticipating won't be done for a number of years, especially since right now I don't know how I feel about Harry Potter, but well, more specifically, I don't know how I feel about J.K. Rowling, but that is kind of coloring what I decide to work on. The second one is Letters from Hogwarts. Are you sensing a theme here? This one I am way behind on. It's actually all done, and I'm not even close. I don't even have January's done. So here is what I have done so far. Literally my wand and then the 2 center swirls, and then I've started to do a little bit of January and then some of the other some of the outlines of the parchments. But this one is big and it's intimidating, and it's kind of, for those reasons, been off to the side quite a bit. But I haven't quite been ready to put it into timeout. We'll see how I feel about it as time goes on. This next one is, this is by far the biggest one, and I'm not even going to try to unfold the whole thing because you won't be able to see it. It's roughly 3 feet by 3 feet, or larger. And this is Bookworm by Charting Creations. And this is the one that I'm going to be using as my full coverage piece for Magical Stitches this year. So I'm hoping to actually make some progress on it. This is also my first experience using Easy Grid fabric, and it's one of my first experiences using Pattern Keeper. So I don't have very much done. This is just one of the many bookshelves behind the dragon. But that is Bookworm from Charting Creations. Okay, these next 3 are my long-term timeouts. They are the ones that I am not currently working on. They're not in the rotation. They're not even on my wheel. But they exist. And they sit in my closet and wait for a day when they come out of timeout. The first one, honestly, I'm probably going to scrap. And this is one that I actually have a picture for. It is called Northern Sunset. And there it is. And here's how much I got done of it. Actually, I think it might go this way. That's how long I've not been working on it. Yeah, it does go this way. How long I've not been working on it, as I don't even know where it was. But the reason that I'm thinking of scrapping this one is, as you'll notice, this fabric is white. And when I first picked this out, excuse you, do not run into my television. Go find a toy and go somewhere else. Yes, you did that. Excuse us. I have no idea what that was about, but she just ran headfirst into the television. It looks like neither of them are permanently damaged, so I guess we're okay. Yes, take that and go elsewhere. So anyway, as I was saying, if you notice, that is white thread, or white fabric, and when I purchased this, I didn't look too closely at it. I just pulled out the floss list and checked it versus what I had, because I had a huge, huge piece of white Aida at home, and so I didn't figure I needed to buy fabric. And then when I got home, I realized that this is actually done on black fabric, so all of this is not actually stitched. It's negative space. And then back in here. Which would be really convenient and would save me a lot of time to not have to go ahead and stitch the rest of that. So I'm probably going to, I have a piece of black fabric that is the right size. So when this one comes out of timeout, I'll probably actually just frog this and set this fabric aside for something else. And not do it. The next one that I have, go Go away. I'm busy. Go away. Hi. Yes. This is gonna be long enough without you here. Go away. Sorry. I don't know why. She has been literally leaving me alone all day. And now, suddenly, all the attention. Alright, go. Go. Don't look at me like that. Go! Alright, let's see if I can talk while I'm petting, because apparently I'm not going to be left alone. Anyway, the next one is the Steotchalong 7, which was the Golden Girls, and I am still on week 3. So, it's been over a year, and here is all the more that I have done. So yeah. Working on week 3 out of 11, so this one's going to take a good long time. This is one of the ones I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a picture for you. Ooh. And then the last one of my long-term timeouts is one that I got several years ago, and I just put it up because at the time I wasn't ready to deal with full coverage, and it is the exploding TARDIS in the Van Gogh style. So, and yes, I know that that is not how you spell TARDIS, but that's fine. I do not remember where I got this. I will try to find it and or something similar to share with you. But yeah, eventually I'd like to go back to this one, and this is all the further that I got on it before, I think at the time I was working full-time and going to school. And this was supposed to be my summer project, and summer didn't really... I went to school during the summer too, so it didn't really get done. So I got to start on it, but not very far. So that's the exploding TARDIS. It's been at least 5 years since I worked on it, so I'd say it qualifies as long-term timeout. So, those are my timeouts. The first 3 were not. Those I'm still actively working on. But those most recent 3 are my long-term timeouts. I like them all. None of them I'm ready to give up on right now. But I've got so many other projects to work on that I haven't felt like pulling them down and putting them in the rotation. So, this next batch are pretty much all Mania. And pretty much all I've gotten. And okay, I apologize in advance for those of you who, like me, maybe have childish and or inappropriate senses of humor, because I just looked at this one, the amount that I have done on it so far, and you can draw your own conclusions, but I'm seeing things. This is Ink Circles Out There. And I'm a little disappointed because I actually thought that I did have the model for this one, but apparently I threw that part out. I have the pattern, but not the original front page model. But I'm sure I'll be able to find it online because it is a current Ink Circles pattern. And here's how much I have done. So, I think this is a tree and birds. I think these are birds. But everything's done in that, like, folded and half reflective version. So, that is all that I have done on this one so far. This one I do have a picture of. This one is by Waxing Moon Designs, and it is called Dog Owners Welcome. And I think I'm doing, yes, I am doing the bottom one, even though right now I am singular dog, but I am doing the bottom one because, first of all, if I change those ears to white, this kind of looks like Miss Lexi. And second of all, I don't intend for it to be dog singular forever. So this is the one I decided to do. This, I believe, is my first piece that I have attempted on even weave, Lugana. And here is as far as I got. Again, this was one of those mania starts that I didn't get very far on. So much to do. Even just pulling all of these out has made me realize I really am looking forward to seeing some of these done. And some of these are small enough. Like, I mean, that one's not very big. I should be able to sneak that in, and if I work on it on a regular basis, actually get it finished in a relatively short period of time. Okay, this one was a last minute for Mania. I had one picked out, and it didn't end up. There's a flaw in the chart, and I just didn't feel like it was the last day that I was supposed to do Mania, and I didn't feel like thinking that hard. I needed to get my 100 stitches in and get out, so I pulled this one out in place of it. This is probably going to be one of my smallest pieces in terms of like stitching size because it's on 22 count, and I'm doing it over 1. The letters I'm doing 2 over 1, and then I'll probably do the design 1 over 1. But here is what it says, and this is totally me at work. I always mean what I say. I just don't always mean to say it out loud. So, no, wait, that can't be right. That's not the right pattern. Because that is clearly the word gotten, not. Oh, yes, this is not the right pattern. That's another one that I was planning to do at the same time. So I don't have the model for this one. I believe what it says is something along the lines of, my sarcasm has gotten to the point where even I don't know if I'm serious or not. Also, still just like me. So anyway, here this is 22 count Ada. Again, it's 2 over 1 here on the letters, but when I get to the border, that's a little bit finer. I intended to do the whole thing 1 over 1, and I just wasn't paying attention. Because 2 is so reflexive to me that it's just completely natural. The next one, again, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find an example for, and this is the Steotchalone. So this was Bless This House, for those of you that have done this. For those of you that haven't, it says Bless This House, but then in the picture, middle of the picture, instead of a house, it's a picture of Hugh Laurie as house. So I didn't get very far on this one either. I still got into week 1. I picked grays, and I kind of like leaving this one where it is because it kind of reminds me of like the Transformers emblem. But yeah, so This one I don't know if I have a picture for you either. I did start it in Mania because that's when the Steotchalong was, and I just never really got any further with it. This one may actually go in long-term timeout because I'm not a huge house fan, and I don't know who I'd give it to right now. But then again, it should also be a quick stitch, so I don't know yet. Oh boy. Here's another one of my big boys. And so many people have done this one. And you'll see, I am not very far on it at all. It's another one of my pattern keeper patterns. This is Pandemic. Long Dog. I can never say that. Long Dog Samplers. Again, my inappropriate sense of humor is just having a field day with that one. So I have just barely started. This is on 18 count Da Vinci by Picture This Plus, and it's going to be done completely in $37.99. And you can see I've just gotten a very little bit, this 10 by 10 squares, done in the grand scheme of all of this. But it's my first Long Dog sampler, so when I get back around to working on it, I'll be excited to see it. But again, like all of the Long Dog samplers, it's going to take a long time. This one is another one that may go into long-term timeout for me just because it is... I made a number of incorrect choices when I started this, and I actually may just go back and start over again because I made the mistake of trying to do this on 18 count Ada, and it is so full of fractionals that it is driving me up a wall. So I may put it in long-term timeout until I decide if I'm going to completely start over again. The other thing that I've done with it is I've used the wrong colors. So this is Son of a Stitch. His first Steotchalong is Hooked on Sonics, and it's all of the Doctor Who sonic screwdrivers and other sonic tools. And this is as far as I got, which is I'm working on one of the sonics. I got most of the way done with it. The only problem is there are a number of French knots on here, and then this is all done in quarter stitch, which I don't know how many of you have tried to do quarter stitch on 18 count Ada, but it's not fun. The other problem I have is all of this stuff, all of the lettering is in the wrong color. So this one may go away for a little while until I am a little bit more ready to deal with it, and maybe until I have a nice piece of linen or even weave that I want to do this on so that the fractionals do not drive me up a wall, because right now they are. But it's a gorgeous pattern, so, and I don't know if I can put it away. I haven't decided yet. This one, you're also getting a tour of my needle minders. Nowhere near my whole collection, but I hope you enjoy. This one has absolutely no shape to it, so I'm hoping that I can find the model to throw in here for you so that you can see it. And this one is Mandarink's Niffler. And again, is Mania. So I got just the teeniest, tiniest bit done. That was a request from a friend. Her favorite of all of the magical creatures in Harry Potter is a Niffler. So I told her I would do that one for her. Okay, this is one of my Nashville This was another Mania start, but it's one of my patterns that I ordered from Nashville last year. And it is Silver Creek Samplers Moonshine. And so there is the pattern. And you can see it says, "The moon said to me, do not wait to be whole to let your light shine from the depths of your soul." And I just thought this one was adorable. So I got it and decided to start on it. I cannot remember what color this fabric is. I know it's from Picture This Plus. I will try to dig into my purchase history and see if I can find it for you. But here is what I've gotten done so far on this one. Just a very little bit. I really feel like I need to get some of these out now. I've forgotten how much I loved some of these when I started them. Oh, this is, I think all of my Nashville pieces are right here in a row. So this next one, I love this one. I hate the fabric. And so that's kind of what's holding me back on it. This one is Beer and Wine by Samplers Revisited. And I don't drink beer, so I'm only doing the wine. And as I gotta pull it out because that glare is gonna drive me nuts. But my undergrad degree was in chemistry, and my first job was in chemistry, so I need my wine to come on with the periodic table elements. Now, the problem with this fabric is I bought some super, super cheap linen to experiment with, and if you've seen some of my earlier videos, the tea dyeing video, this is actually the fabric that I dyed. But the thing was, I just went to a big box craft store and bought, I'm just going to try to ignore her and see if that changes things. Just bought like the cheapest linen I could get to try this, and so I hate working on it. And this was the first linen I'd picked up, and I thought that meant I was going to just completely hate linen. Turns out I like linen, I just don't like this piece. And this thread is, I think it's Weeks Dye Works. Grape Fizz. I'll double check that. But you can see I've mostly got iodine done. I've got a few digits left in the molecular weight. And see, you can see my shirt through. That's how thin and awful this material is. It has absolutely no shape. It's completely, bleh. I hate it. But it looks gorgeous, and I'm really proud of how the tea dyeing came out. So, yeah, there is that one. And eventually I will go back to this one because I like it, but I'm putting it off. I'm hoping, I'm going to wait until I have a Q-snap. Don't mind me. Free, because I'm hoping that will at least give me a little bit more stability, because I can get it a little tighter than my hoop. This one. This is also a Nashville piece. This is Tiny Modernist Unicorn Tapestry. I think so many people got this from Nashville. So yeah, I love it. This one has been kind of in a semi-timeout because when I was stitching it, I made a huge mistake. And here's all the further I've gotten. And if you notice, these two horns are supposed to be the same height. And I don't remember which one it is, but I think in one of them I counted from this leaf of the flower, and from the other one I counted from this leaf, or something. I don't know. Somehow this flower was in the center, and I put one of these two horns in the wrong spot. So I have to remember which one, and I have to frog it. And again, it was a mania start, so I didn't have a lot of time to just work on it. This is the actual recommended color of fabric. It's 16 count Riviera Aqua Zweigart. So yeah, there's that one. And I am just realizing that I think I am missing one. So I'm going to go look for that and I'll be right back. Okay, I found it and I'm back. So we'll go ahead and jump right in with that one. This one is from Sue Hillis Designs. It is the Happy Camper series, High Tides and Good Vibes. I think you guys have probably heard me talk before about how my mother loved all things flamingo. So when I saw this one, I had to get it. And then also on the back, there's this tiny little mermaid bonus pattern, stitching mermaid. So again, a mania start, just a few hundred stitches. This is done on Bestitch Me 16 count April Showers. And I've just barely got the corner of the camper started. So you can see that. I don't know if this is making me more excited or more depressed, like all the things that I have to do and how gorgeous they all are, and at the same time, all the things I have to do. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is one of my favorites. It's one of my favorite color schemes. It's one of my favorite, fabrics. It's one of my favorite patterns. This is Stitchrovia's Awesome Myth. And I am doing it on 16 count Ada from Mystic Fabrics in Unipoo, because I love that name. But it's also absolutely the perfect colors for this pattern, I think. So here you go. You can see I'm starting to get some work done on that narwhal. Again, not a ton, but moving right along. This one you've seen recently, and it's actually got some progress. This is my paw print and heart design on Galaxy. And I've got a good deal done on that top paw print now. Again, pull it back for the full effect of the fabric. I just think it looks so awesome. I'm so excited about this one. If anyone has any good suggestions for backstitch fonts that will fit, that are relatively small, that will fit across these paw prints, I have to write Rocket and Sunny in them, and I really don't want to freehand it. So I'm going to keep looking, but if anyone knows some great ones that are relatively small, send them my way. Stitching Book Club. As I am recording this, yesterday part 3 came out, and I got a start on it, but I'm nowhere near finished with it. But this is probably the closest thing I have to being finished right now. This is done on 16 count. I think it might be Zweigart in platinum. And here is what I've got so far. So what still needs to be done is there is another layer of green. Once I finish the rest of this box, there's a darker green box around it. There is some backstitched wording and embellishment that goes around the side, and then there's an outer border that is in this same pattern of greens. So yeah, short and sweet, much like the book. I think the discussion was supposed to happen today, so I'll probably have to jump on yet tomorrow and do my comments on the discussion. But that is Stitching Book Club. And she is getting ready to announce the books for next year. So keep your eyes out in the next little bit for that to find out what we're going to be reading next year. Okay, this one you guys saw not too long ago. You folks, I'm sorry, I'm still trying to be better and I'm still not doing very well. But this is Life's Journey. Life's journey is not to arrive safely at the grave in a well-preserved body, but rather to skid in sideways, totally worn out, shouting, "Holy cow, what a ride." And here is where I am at. So I don't know how fast this is going to go. I think the lettering is going to go kind of fast. Not as fast as backstitching usually does because of all the color changes. But I think it's going to go relatively fast, but those shoes have a lot of fractionals in them that look like they're going to give me headaches. Because I was looking at one of the shoes and I couldn't figure out exactly how they went together. This is probably one of my favorites. And I haven't worked on it in forever. And I need to work on it. This is Skeptic Sampler by Sweetwater Studios. And here is what it looks like. And of course, anyone called the DNA Geek would have to love this. And it's got one of my favorite Carl Sagan quotes on it. This is the nitrogen in our DNA, the calcium in our teeth, the iron in our blood, the carbon in our apple pies, was made in the interior of collapsing stars. We are made of star stuff. I just love that quote. I love it. So, I haven't gotten very far on it. Are you sensing a pattern here? Here's where I'm at. So, made in the, and then I have light of collapsing stars. But again, this is one of my linen experiments, so I haven't had a chance to work on it, and when I do work on it, I can't stitch as fast as I can on Ada because I am still learning the feel of linen. And I like it, and I like even weave, I just don't use them as often, so I have to stop and think about what I'm doing a lot more. Next up, another Stitching Book Club. This is Frankenstein, the Halloween one. I've seen this a lot. I haven't had a chance to work on it lately because of the big to-do about all the frogging that I'm going to have to do on it. So it is still in the same place as you saw it last time. This will be very easy to do. These two I'm going to have to frog significant parts of, if not the whole thing, of these 2 squares, and then there is an exterior border that needs to be done. But I was very hesitant when I initially started this one. I was worried because it was just, well, it was this piece of fabric I had. This is 16 count Picture This Plus Barnwood. And then this is the initial floss that I was going to use for Pandemic, and realized that it was far too close to the color of the fabric I was going to use. And I put them together, and at first I thought they were not really good colors for something like Frankenstein. They weren't nearly dark enough, but I really like the way that they are actually coming together. So I'm pleased with this, and I will probably come back to it sooner rather than later to give it a quick finish. Here's one that I haven't worked very much on, and I should work on because it's supposed to be a gift. And this is by Oh My Stitches Shop. And it is, how does the quote go? I think it's, in a world of sunflower, or in a world of roses, be a sunflower. And it's absolutely this gorgeous, like with sunflowers and bright red flowers and bright white B5200 flowers. And I ended up deciding to put it on this. This is a discontinued color from Mystic Fabrics. It's Night Sky Brandy. I think it's the only one of the Night Skies that is currently not available. But all of the Night Skies are gorgeous. But I thought it would really pop on this, especially when I get to some of the red and white. And then all of the lettering is done in B5200. So hopefully I'll have stuck a picture of the final product up there for you, but you can see I've got one of my sunflowers well underway. And this one needs to go back into the regular part of the rotation. Another one of my gifts, and this one I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you at all what it's going to look like until it's done. And this is by Rocking, because it's no longer on the store website, but this is We Do Disney by Rocking Horse Cross Stitch. And originally this was all done in all black thread on white, and I decided to do some coloring it up, so I picked this, I don't think it's called Chalkboard Black. This will be another one that I'll have to try to look up the color for you. But it's not a black, it's kind of a dark gray, it's kind of like a chalkboard color, and then I'm doing the lettering in B5200, except parts of the quotes I'm going to do in colors that kind of represent the movies to me. So this line is supposed to be, if you can dream it, you can do it. That'll all be in 5200. The next line is, all it takes is faith, trust, and a little pixie dust. And the reason that I got held up on this one is I decided, in my infinite wisdom, to do pixie dust in silver metallic. And it is driving me up the wall. So, I have obtained some thread magic, and I am hoping that it will help, because I've heard that thread conditioner does actually work wonders. But aside from this metallic, all of the other colors that I'm planning to use are étoile. This has quotes from Beauty and the Beast, from Frozen, from Lion King, from Pinocchio, from Cinderella, Peter Pan, obviously, Winnie the Pooh. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this one turns out, if I can ever get myself over my wonderfully horrible, awful decision to try and use silver metallic to write pixie dust. But I think it's going to look gorgeous when it's done, if I ever get it done. This next one I do not have a picture of. I don't think I'm going to be able to get a picture of it because I'm not sure a picture of the finished object. I don't think I've actually seen one. This is the Avatar The Last Airbender Stitch-Along that I've been working on, the 4 elements. And I can kind of describe to you what it's supposed to be. So here's what I've got so far, and this is water. And if you're a fan, then you should be able to visualize this. So we've got water, and it's 4 squares doing introducing each of the 4 elements as they are. This should look familiar because it's from the opening title sequence. And it's literally the 4 elements as done in the title sequence. So I'm almost done with water, and then so much more to go because this is essentially full coverage. There's a little bit of negative space up here in the borders, but other than that, it's pretty much full coverage. So, but I think it's going to be absolutely stunning when it gets done. And I did this on 16 count. I believe it's Zweigart, and the color is raw linen opalescent. But it's not linen, it's 16 count Aida. Alright, this one I thought I had the picture of right here. Oh, I do. Here it is. Because this is one I worked on recently. This is Summerhouse Stitchworks Sister Suffragette. And here is where I'm at on this one. This is actually done on raw linen. Alright, I've shown you this one a few times because it is one of my favorites. This is Autumn Lane Stitcheries, The Witch's Spell. And there it is as stitched on the model. And I went with a different fabric color on this one, a little bit bolder. It is done on Bestitch Me's Atlantis, 16 count Aida. And so here's where I've gotten to on this one. And I just love this one. This is one of the ones that I can sit down and work on for hours, and time just seems to fly by. But I try not to work on it too much because you've heard the number of them that I've said, this is a gift, this is a gift, this is a gift. I think I have 5 that are gifts, and they are in various stages of incomplete. So I really shouldn't be focusing on that one as much as I want to. This one is another one that may go into timeout, just because I don't really feel like working on it right now. And that's the Stitchonomy's Halloween Stitch-Along, and you can see I only got as far as like the 14th, I think, something like that, before I put it down. Because this was in my overwhelmed period where I wasn't stitching every day, much less finishing an entire square every day. I haven't given up on it yet. I really like it. I do need to go in and download the rest of the patterns before I forget about it, so that I will have them when I go back to it eventually. Because it's adorable. It fell at a really bad time for me. Defying Gravity. I've gotten some work done on this one. This is another one of my gifts. It's a full coverage, going to be quite large. But I've gotten all the way across the top of the first page. So there's 4 pages total. And this top edge here represents the, well, I've got all the way across the top of the first page of the 4. So you can see there's what I've got done. This one's going to be super slow going, but I got to get it done sooner rather than later. For reasons I don't want to talk about right now. Grimm's Fairy Tales. This one is also a gift. This one, the Steotchalong is finally over. The last piece was released a couple weeks ago, and I am still working on my 4th month, which is actually not April because I didn't do them in order. So here's what I've gotten done so far. And it is, oh goodness, the Brementown Musicians, the Princess and the Frog. Below that is the Fisherman and his Wife. Below that is Sleeping Beauty. And then off to the side of Sleeping Beauty is the start of Puss in Boots. So I have a long ways to go on this one. But when it's done, I am going to give it to my niece, and hopefully she'll love it. Hopefully she'll still be young enough for fairy tales by the time I get done with it. Oh boy. And this is why I get stressed. Because there is oh so much of this that I need to get done. I think all the rest of these are Steotchalongs that I'm way behind on. So yeah, first up would be The Good Place, Everything is Fine, Steotchalong from Son of a Stitch. And again, Michael is done. Tahani is slowly but surely coming along, but not nearly as fast as it should be. And there are 2 months after that that I have not even done yet. So, woohoo! Temperature Steotchalong has just been sorely neglected lately. I'm still in the middle of November, and it's now nearer the end of December than the beginning of December, so I'm way down here when I should be actually more like over here. I will get it up to speed eventually. Even if I have to spend all day New Year's Day finishing it, I will get it up to speed eventually. And I'm ready for 2021. And last but not least, and after the, oh, nope, sorry, one other one. This is one of the ones I hope to eventually collect the entirety of this Steotchalong, and I haven't yet. I think I have, this is part 2, and then I think I have part 3, 4, and maybe 5, but there are 13 parts. So this is from a few years ago, Tiny Modernists' Words to Live By series. And eventually what I'd like to do with these, I think, is after I have them all done, I'd like to sew them onto the front of a quilt. do them each on individual pieces. So this one is when it rains, look for rainbows. When it's dark, look for stars. I don't have very much of it done at all, but I've got some of it done. So, and when I actually get around to doing this one, it should go pretty fast. And now, last but not least, is Dark Queen of the Seas, of course. I haven't had a chance to work on this one, much to my dismay. So I'm still diligently working my way through part 2. I gotta get going on this because part 4 is gorgeous, but part 4 is also huge. So I've got a lot of work to do. I still have to backstitch the fish, so part 1 is not completely done. But since I also am going to have to backstitch this coral, I decided to hold off on the backstitch until both sections were done and then just do them all at once. But yeah, we're almost to part 5 and I'm still working on part 2. But now you know why, because you have seen my whole stack of WIPs. And there are a lot of them. And I am completely feeling overwhelmed right now, so maybe this was not a good idea. But anyway, I hope you've seen something in there that you like. If you did, give me a shout out. Let me know what you like. I'd like to work on things people are interested in seeing get done. In terms of my own personal priorities, I'd like to finish A Christmas Carol. I'm going to keep working on Defying Gravity. I'd like to get back into the Steotchalongs that are still going because I have 4 more starting in January. So yeah, in January I will be starting the Tiny Modernist Zodiac Steotchalong, which I could actually probably start now as soon as my fabric gets here. But it, like everything else, there's no haul this week because it is all lost somewhere in the Postal Service. I have at least... My Fabric of the Month from Mystic is currently missing. 2 sets of Needle Minder orders from Needle Attractions are currently missing. And my fabric for the Zodiac Steotchalong is currently missing. So... I guess I shouldn't say missing, but they are not scanning them. So all I know is they've been shipped. And they're somewhere between me and where they were shipped from. So every day I go to the mailbox hoping that there will be something interesting in there. And every day so far I've not been lucky. But hey, if you're keeping track, it's December 20th as I record this, and I still have not opened my Misty grab bag or mystery box. So I might make it to Christmas Eve. I'm not going to try to speak too soon. So yes, if my fabric gets here, I could start on Zodiac right now. The 2021 Temperature Steotchalong. I will probably, if it comes down to it, I will probably start that. I need, for that one and for the Climbing Goats Design Wonders of the Solar System Steotchalong, I'm using the same fabric and I only have 1 piece of it. So I have 1 piece that I've ordered, but it's a custom dye and it hasn't been shipped yet. So I don't know when that will get in. I mean, it could be anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. So, but I mean, that's the price that you pay to get a quality piece of fabric. I'm not terribly worried about it, but I think if it comes down to it, I'll probably start the Temperature Steotchalong over the Wonders of the Solar System, just because the Temperature Steotchalong, since it's a daily, is probably the one not to get behind on, like I've done recently. And what's the 4th one? Oh, the 4th one is Clouds Factory's There Is No Planet B, Endangered Species Steotchalong. So all of those will be starting either the 1st or the 15th. I think Wonders of the Solar System doesn't start until January 15th. I have the fabric in for There Is No Planet B, and I have the fabric in for, like I said, one of the 2, probably this Temperature Steotchalong. and I'm waiting on fabric for the other two. And then there's the Supernatural Stitch Along, which I don't know when that is going to start, and I don't know if I'm going to do it, but I've ordered fabric for it, so we'll see. So yeah, that's it, and I'm feeling super duper overwhelmed right now. But I'm also feeling motivated because a lot of those I haven't pulled out since like May or June when I worked on them last. Except for the part where now I have to put them all back in the project bags. Project boxes. But yeah, there you go. Anyway, that's all I have. If I get some fabric, or if I get some stash in between now and the time that I put this up, I might edit it on to the beginning or the end. But otherwise, that's all I've got for you. I hope you all have had or will have a wonderful whatever holiday you celebrate, if you celebrate a holiday. And I hope you guys all stay safe and stay healthy. And I'll see you next time. Bye!